In recent discussions, there's been a lot of speculation about Carlos Sainz's future. His move to Williams has left the door open for a return to a team he once called home. He's committed to the Williams project, a team that may face challenges in 2025, but is hoping to gain momentum by 2026. Despite this, Christian Horner, Red Bull's team principal, hasn't ruled out the possibility of bringing Sainz back into their fold. The Spaniard could finally make the move to Red Bull that didn't materialize during his time with Toro Rosso. But is this the right step for both Sainz and Red Bull? How would it impact their future? These are some of the burning questions being discussed in F1 circles today. As the 2025 season approaches, one of the most debated topics is Red Bull's driver lineup. Questions are being raised about whether Lawson has done enough to secure his seat next to Max Verstappen. Lawson, with only 11 races under his belt, faces significant pressure to prove himself. Adding fuel to the fire, Verstappen's father has once again stirred rumors about his son's future with the team, hinting at potential changes. With so many uncertainties surrounding Red Bull's driver pairings, there's no guarantee that the current lineup will remain intact after 2025. This opens the door for external moves, something Red Bull has done in the past, including with Sergio Perez back in 2021. Christian Horner recently spoke about the possibility of bringing in an external driver, such as Carlos Sainz. He acknowledged that Sainz is a highly skilled driver, and the option remains open for the future. In fact, Sainz was considered for a seat at Red Bull before the team ultimately chose to focus on its junior program. The reasoning behind this decision was to send a clear message to younger drivers Red Bull wants to promote from within, providing a clear pathway to F1. This strategy encourages more juniors to join their program, knowing that if they perform well, they have a real shot at making it to Formula One. However, it's important to remember that Sainz himself started his journey in the junior ranks, but things didn't go as planned. After his initial stint with Toro Rosso, Sainz moved to Renault, where his career started to take shape. Fast forward to today, and he's found success with Ferrari, winning 4 races. His most notable victory came at the 2022 Silverstone Grand Prix, where he made a bold move by choosing his own strategy, defying team orders and securing his first win with Ferrari. Despite his successes, there's a noteworthy clause in Sainz's Ferrari contract that could allow him to switch teams if a better opportunity arises. While Ferrari's leadership has denied any such claims, whispers in the paddock suggest that such a clause exists. With all seats at Williams secured for 2025, and with recent changes within the Red Bull camp, including adjustments concerning Max Verstappen, Sainz's name has resurfaced as a potential candidate for a Red Bull seat. It's no secret that he and Verstappen have shared the track before back in 2015, when they were teammates at Toro Rosso, before Verstappen moved up to Red Bull. Now, the idea of Sainz wearing a Red Bull suit again isn't entirely out of the question. Sainz is known as one of the smartest drivers in the paddock, and his ability to adapt and perform under pressure has earned him respect from peers and teams alike. If he were to leave Ferrari, the early performances in 2024 only further highlighted his value as a driver. For instance, his performance in the Australian Grand Prix was remarkable, where he led Ferrari's charge to the front, making many question whether Ferrari made the right call in opting for the aging Lewis Hamilton over continuing with Sainz. Carlos Sainz has undoubtedly been a key figure in Ferrari's resurgence, helping build the team's winning culture. But now, as he works with Williams on a project that's expected to face major struggles, it's possible that he may be tempted by the prospect of being competitive once again. Despite Williams' plans for 2026, the current outlook for 2025 is not as promising, with performance likely to dip. Red Bull, on the other hand, is known for its winning mentality, and with the changes taking place within their driver program, they might look at Sainz as a more competitive option than continuing with Lawson. Horner's strategy of investing in youth has been successful, as Red Bull's junior program continues to attract young talent. But Lawson, despite his impressive performances in a handful of races, still hasn't proven that he can consistently compete at the highest level. Marco has stated that if Lawson is to remain with the team for the long term, he needs to meet certain criteria such as staying within 3/10 of Verstappen's qualifying and race times. Should Lawson fail to meet these expectations, Red Bull may reconsider his position. However, this doesn't necessarily mean Sainz would be the immediate replacement, as Red Bull also has other options, including the highly rated Yuki Tsunoda. Marco's comments about Lawson's future make it clear that there's little room for error. While Red Bull has shown faith in their junior drivers, the pressure to perform is immense. If Lawson doesn't meet the team's performance benchmarks, it could signal the end of his time at Red Bull. but it's not a guarantee that Sainz would be the one to replace him. The team still has to evaluate all available options, and with Lawson tied to Honda, it might be a strategic move to keep him on for the time being. However, the prospect of a seasoned driver like Sainz, who has been on the grid for years and has proven his ability to win races, could prove too tempting for Red Bull to ignore. Sainz's track record speaks for itself. He's won races with Ferrari, driven for top teams, and consistently performed at a high level. His experience could be invaluable to a Red Bull team that's looking to maintain dominance in Formula One. On the other hand, it's clear that Red Bull still places a high value on the development of their younger drivers, which means they might hesitate to make such a big move. The situation is fluid, and much will depend on how Lawson fares in his first full season alongside Verstappen. The relationship between Red Bull and its drivers has always been a delicate balance. The team has set high expectations for anyone who steps into the car, particularly when paired with someone as dominant as Verstappen. Marco has made it clear that the team isn't looking for a driver to challenge Verstappen directly. The goal is to have a second driver who can support Verstappen's championship push and help accumulate points for the Constructors' title. If Lawson can meet those expectations and stay within 3/10 of Verstappen, it would be a win for Red Bull, even if he never challenges for the lead. This approach has worked well for Red Bull in the past, but it also puts immense pressure on the second driver. For Lawson, this means he has to accept his role as the support driver. The dynamic between him and Verstappen will be crucial in the 2025 season. Any hint of rivalry, as we saw with Perez, could create friction within the team. The primary goal for Lawson is to avoid mistakes and ensure he's contributing to the overall success of the team, even if it means taking a backseat to Verstappen's championship ambitions. Looking ahead, Red Bull faces an interesting dilemma. They've always had the luxury of having a dominant lead driver in Verstappen, but as the competition gets tougher, the need for two strong drivers becomes more pressing. Perez's performance drop-off in recent seasons has highlighted this issue. Despite being the number 2 driver, Perez hasn't been able to consistently match Verstappen's pace, which has raised doubts about his ability to support the team in the long run. This puts additional pressure on Red Bull to either continue with Lawson or bring in a more experienced driver who can complement Verstappen's dominance. Sainz could be that driver. His ability to adapt, his consistent performances, and his race-winning experience make him a strong contender to join Red Bull. If Sainz were to replace Lawson, it would represent a shift in Red Bull's strategy, moving away from youth development to prioritizing immediate competitiveness. While this might seem like a step backward, it could also be the right move for Red Bull to maintain their edge in Formula One. As we've seen in the past, a driver like Sainz could help them stay ahead of the pack, especially if he's given the right tools and support. As for the future of Red Bull's driver lineup, much will depend on how 2025 unfolds. If Lawson proves himself capable of stepping up to the challenge and maintaining close performance with Verstappen, Red Bull may stick with him. However, if he struggles to meet the high expectations set for him, Red Bull might be forced to reconsider their options, and that's where Sainz could step in. His experience and ability to win races could be exactly what Red Bull needs to stay competitive in the ever-evolving world of Formula One. The team's philosophy of nurturing young talent through their junior program has brought success in the past, but as competition intensifies, Red Bull might find themselves needing a more experienced driver in the mix. For Sainz, the possibility of joining Red Bull again would be an opportunity to reclaim a seat at the front of the grid and possibly challenge for championships in a car that's consistently capable of winning races. The upcoming seasons in Formula One promise to be incredibly exciting, with changes to driver lineups and team strategies that will shape the future of the sport. Red Bull's decisions, particularly with regards to their second seat, will play a key role in determining how the team fares in 2025 and beyond. What do you think? Could Sainz be the perfect fit for Red Bull, or should they stick with Lawson? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.